Good evening and welcome to 365 Days of Stories with Theo Mayer, day 82, and I'm continuing the story of Firebird. Now remember that this red fox, this vixen, had appeared before Prince Ivan, the youngest brother, and instead of shooting his crossbow, the dart on his crossbow at this red fox, he stopped himself and took it down. And the red fox came running over to him and said, "That is the best dart that you have ever had." And the vixen introduced herself to Prince Ivan and said, "My name is Lyshka-ryshka, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you get the Firebird for your father. Now, follow me, and I'll take you to the castle where the Firebird is." And off she began to run. She ran over mountains and hills and through valleys and across creeks and bridges, swishing her bushy tail from side to side as she went to make the way easier for Prince Ivan as he rode along on his horse. After some time, they arrived at a stone castle. And Lyshka-ryshka, in the woods close to the castle, stopped. And she said, "Now, you must follow my directions carefully. You will enter the castle. Now, you must make sure that the guards are asleep. When they are asleep, go into the first chamber. And in the first chamber, you will find 12 white birds and 12 wooden cages. You must leave them alone and go to the second chamber. In the second chamber, you will find 12 golden cages with 12 blackbirds within them. Now, the white birds will just be as white as snow, beautiful to behold. And the blackbirds will just be as black as night, and equally as beautiful to behold. But you must go through those two chambers and into the third chamber. And in the third chamber, you will find Onevak, the Firebird, asleep on its perch. And there, close to the perch, there will be two cages, one wooden and one golden. Of course, you must pick the wooden cage. Do not pick the golden cage. Put Onevak in the wooden cage. All will go well with you. If you put Onevak into the golden cage, she will awaken. And when she does, and she calls out the beautiful singing voice that she has, she will awaken all the other birds. And all of the other birds will awaken the guards, and you will be taken. Ivan listened to her directions and agreed. And as night was falling, he went to the castle gate and walked in through the gate and watched. He watched the guards until he was sure that they were asleep. And once he was sure they were asleep, he walked into that first chamber, and just as Lyshka-ryshka had said, indeed it was true, the birds were there. Now, he passed through the wooden cages with the white birds, and he went to the second chamber where the golden cages were with the black birds. And he went into the third chamber, and there was the Firebird on its perch asleep. He felt good. He thought, "This is great. My task is almost completed." The two cages were there, one of gold and one of wood. And he picked the wooden cage and walked over to Onevak, the Firebird, and was about to put Onevak into the cage. And he thought, no, golden cage for golden bird. He hung the wooden cage back up and got the golden cage and put Onevak into the golden cage, and just As he did so, Onevak awakened and sang out in the most beautiful and melodious voice. But as Onevak called out, all the rest of the birds awakened and began to sing as well. The guards awakened, and they rushed in to the third chamber where Prince Ivan was holding the golden chain with the Firebird within it. They seized him. They put Onevak back on its perch and took Prince Ivan, of course, to the dungeon. In the morning, he was let out, brought before the king, and the king was ready just to execute him immediately. His audacity for coming and stealing the Firebird. But Prince Ivan did not waste a moment and shared with the king why he had come to steal the bird. The king listened, had pity on Ivan, and said, fine. You must bring to me Zlatorvik. Zlatorvik is the horse with the golden mane. Bring me the horse with the golden mane, and I will give you Onevak. That way your father can regain his health and live. Well, Prince Ivan thought, great, second chance. He was escorted out of the castle by the guards. He made his way to the edge of the forest, and there Lyshka-ryshka was waiting. She didn't scold him. She just said, I know what happened. Follow me, and I will guide you to the castle where Zlatorvik is kept. You must follow my directions this time. Off she went. She went running over the hills, through the valleys, across the streams, up over the mountains, and with her tail swinging from side to side, making the way easier for the prince. Well, they eventually got to another beautiful castle. Lyshka-ryshka stopped at the edge of the woods she had done before. There she directed Ivan, told him what he must do. You must go in through the gates, make sure the guards are asleep. Once you do, go to the stables. When you enter the first stables, there will be 12 white horses and 12 beautiful stalls. And each one of those horses will have a golden bridle. Pass those up. Go to the second chamber. The second chamber, there'll be 12 black horses, black as night, with leather bridles hanging at their stalls. Continue through the second chamber to the third. And when you get to the third chamber, there you will see Zlatorvik, the horse with the golden mane. And at the stall, there will be 2 bridles, one of leather and one of gold. Choose the one of leather. Put the leather bridle on Zlatorvik. Otherwise, if you use the golden one, he will awaken. And when he awakens, he will neigh and whinny. And the other horses will wake up and neigh and whinny as well. But that won't be the worst of it. The worst will be that he will begin to buck and dance in such a way that you will only wish that you were not close to him at all. Ivan nodded and said, I've got it. And off he went to the castle as the night was coming on. He waited until he was sure that the guards were asleep, and he entered into that first stable. And just as Lyshka-ryshka had said, in the first stable, there were 12 white horses, golden bridles at each stall. He went into the second stable, and there in the second stable, 12 black horses with leather bridles hanging at each stall. And then he went into the third stable, and there in the stall was Zlatorovik, and Zlatorovik was asleep. Ivan went and got the leather bridle, brought it over, put it over the snout of the horse, and was ready to bring it over its ears when he stopped and he thought, this is not right. Golden bridle for golden horse, not the leather one. So he went and took and hung the leather bridle back up, and he went and got the golden one, and those reins from the bridle had no sooner touched Zlatorovik's neck when he awakened. And when he did, he called out, neighing wildly, and began to kick and buck and prance and paw in such a way that, well, Ivan was happy when the guards came and grabbed him and took him away. Of course, he was led to the dungeon again, dungeon of this king. And in the morning, he was led up to the king. The king had already prepared for his execution before noon. But as before, Ivan told the king his story, and the king had pity on him. He said, there is a maiden with golden hair, Zlatovlaska. Bring her to me. You may have Zlatorovik. I wish you luck, said the king. Now the king was fairly old. Zlatovlaska was quite young, beautiful. The old king wished for this young maiden as a bride. Ivan was escorted to the gate as it was before, and he went off to the forest, and Lyshka-ryshka was waiting for him. I know what happened, she said. Follow me. We will go to the castle of Zlatovlaska, and there hopefully you will win her. But please, you must follow my directions this time. Otherwise, things will not go so easily for you. Ivan agreed. Off they went. Lyshka-ryshka waving her bushy tail from side to side, making the way easier for Ivan every step of the way. Well, we'll leave the story there. Well, I'll let you know that, well, Lyshka-ryshka, she led him to a sea, and, well, when the tide was out, you could walk across the sand to this castle. The castle was very dark. It was like black, a shiny black. And this was the castle in which Zlatovlaska was kept by her mother. We'll leave the tale there. They're standing on the beach, and we'll see what happens next. Okay, thanks for joining. Have a good rest of your day or evening.